UFC 316 Merab Dvalishvili versus Sugar Shawn OMalley is fast approaching this Saturday. So that means it's time to bring up the Mystic Kenny hat, man. Listen, I haven't been feeling really mystic lately. I feel like it's because there hasn't been like fights that lately that's called for like me to get into my mystic bag as far as like main events are concerned. Like back when this was the first, like this fight was first announced, like the first time they fought, it was like a Mystic Kenny bag when I picked Merab and I picked exactly how he was gonna win and won. You know, this time around it feels a little different. It's not gonna hit if you pick Merab to win this time and he wins. You know, and I know there's gonna be the Sugar fans who are like, yeah, dude, Sugar's gonna absolutely dominate him. His new hip is gonna be the best thing ever. He's shown so much great wins since his last loss against Merab, against, you know, winning that hip surgery and all that. You know, they're going to feel smart if they get the pick right. But, of course, my job here is to logically break down how these fights go, guys. And you guys know I'm the best predictor on the app, brother. You know, 99.9999% prediction rate. And we're going to get to the full card predictions. Starting off with the first fight of the night, bro. Salicid. I still don't know how to say his last name, chat. And people were roasting me for making fun of names. Chat, I don't intentionally, like, ruin names. Like, I just don't know how to pronounce it. Salicid. Salicid versus Yanal Ashmos. Quillen's gonna beat the hell out of this Israeli victim, man. He's gonna be the Israeli. Nah, jokes aside, I just think Quillen is just a better striker. They're both primary strikers from what I know, and I just feel like Quillen does that at a better extent. Quillen could wrestle. David says Quillen attempts 8.81 takedowns on average. That can't be right. Something about that seems a little off. Why do I feel like Quillen has good hands? Maybe it's gonna be a wrestling match, and it says attempts 4.8. He did finish Isho Jubilee on the feet. But I was like, yeah, because I remember the Jubilee fight. I remember him knocking out Jubilee, but he didn't really shoot him much in that fight. But I guess it's because he didn't need to. But, push comes to shove. And the Dana White contender said he showed amazing wrestling. But his hands look good, too. So we'll see what he decides to do with Yanal. Whatever he decides to do, he's going to win by. I think I have Quillen by KO or points. Yanal just going to get beat up. And then Quillen's going to get on the mic and say, free Palestine, hopefully. Let's hope that happens. We got Quillen for the win. Moving on to the next fight. In-show Jubilee victim, Jacob. We got Jacob back, chat, the in-show Jubilee victim. And he is coming off a loss as well, going against Guusang, who's a South Korean MMA fighter who I know a little bit about. No, not because I watch K-dramas now, chat, you know. From what I've seen from his highlights and his highlight reel, he has good hands. He's been a decision more times than he's knocked people out, but he has heavy hands as well. He's like I feel like if you go to Korea or like that side of the world, like the Asian side, you're either going to get like a really high-level grappler who likes to grapple, or you're going to get like a scrappy, bite down your mouthpiece, let's go balls to the wall. And this is just the balls to the wall guy. He's not much of a wrestler, and I feel like he's going to go out there against this Ansho Jubilee victim. Like, Ansho Jubilee literally knocked this dude out. He's going to get knocked out by Guusang. I have him by KO points. We'll see if Jekka can survive with that fucking chin of his. Look at this Indonesian. This guy's an Indonesian marauder, man. But I do got Guusang. Shout out South Korea. Shout out the K-Dramas Dale, brother. You know K-Drama Kenny in the building. All right. Oh, my God. You guys know how I feel about my baby girl, bro. We got Wong Kong, and she back in the building. Going against Ariane De Silva, trying to, like, look smacks. Listen, this is not a beauty contest. And if it was, Wong Kong's still winning. But it's not. You know, this is a good win. I'm glad they're giving Wong Kong an easy fight in Ariana De Silva. I'm not really glad, but I know like they booked De Silva because she knows she's not going to shoot much takedowns on Wong Kong. But I think she's going to have to. She might not be used to it, but she's going to have to, I feel like. But that being said, the fact that she doesn't practice it absurdly doesn't make me comfortable in her being confident enough to go in there and just out wrestle Wong Kong and Mauler. It's going to be a primary kickboxing match. You know, Wong Kong's the best at that. Wong Kong's one loss was such a fluke bullet, like BS just gets caught with something. You know, Wong Kong is the best, one of the best fighters of all time. You know, she's a baddie, brother. You know, Chinese baddie. You know, kind of built from Whaley's cloth, except for minus the wrestling. You know, Valentina Shevchenko's arch nemesis. Wong Kong winning does so much for everyone's storyline. Like, I don't really care about De Silva. You literally do nothing. If you win this fight from some fluke, you ruin the trajectory of the future of the female WMMA. So do not do this. This is going to be an easy win for Wong Kong. I'm not really nervous about the result at all. It's going to be Wong Kong by KO points. I think De Silva can last, maybe points. So we'll see if De Silva can get the beats on her and last, like, you know what I'm saying. But beats on her, Dr. Dre, Wong Kong, lots of base. Easy win for Wong Kong. All right. This fight's canceled. We're going to skip the canceled fights for a little bit, and then we're going to get into it in the next slide. Sergey Spivac versus Cortez Acosta. Cortez Acosta, you know, his best win is wrestling the 6'7" Robelius to Spain and just fucking hold him on the ground. The Spain's so ass. I'm glad he went to karate combat's having a career there. You know, Cortez Acosta's not crazy talented, but he's actually pretty good. He's been winning a lot of fights. Same with Spivac. Spivac only loses the best, bro. Like what? Jalton Almeida, Cyril Gahn, Aspinall, Tybor, like a couple years ago. He's only losing the best, but lately, before the Jalton Almeida fight, he had some good momentum rolling. The Polar Bear is a Polar Bear, man, and he showed that he could even like take down and wrestle with someone like Almeida. So I'm not worried about no Cortez Acosta wrestling. I'm just not. And Sergey Spivac has always shown knockout power. Even though he got caught pretty flush by Jalton Almeida, I think that's just Jalton Almeida being Almeida. You guys know how I feel about Almeida, so I don't look at that loss he's coming off of and think it's crazy. Of course, Costa's coming off a win and looked good in his last performance as well, but Costa is a big dude, but he does nothing spectacular. Like Costa against Ryan Spann, it was like almost like they're playing pitter patter. It was kind of a shitty fight. Like, and Ryan Spann's kind of iffy to me. Acosta should have put him out in that fight, in my opinion. I think Spivac would have, and I think Spivac's gonna show him levels here. I actually don't know the odds. The odds are probably gonna look interesting for this one. Not even available. I think they're gonna make Cortez Acosta a favorite because the momentum he's riding, the level of opposition it looks like he's going against. But I do think Sergey Spivac's going to get this done. He's just a little bit more scrappy, in my opinion. And when shit gets tough, I know Spivac's going to pull through. And, of course he has more losses. But like I said, Aspinall, Cyril Gahn, Almeida, these are good people to lose to. These aren't bums. These aren't like fucking, fat heavyweights across the street. These are real bad men. So I think Spivac's going to show this fucking chubby boy levels, man. So I got Spivac beating Cortez Acosta fairly comfortably. This fight's canceled. And before we get into the cancel fights and look at the replacements, I want to talk about this fight. This fight is big here. I don't know the odds for this fight, but I'm assuming minus 550 Joshua Van. Bruno Silva is beating Joshua Van, unfortunately. I love Joshua Van, man. Youngin, like 22. I think he's my age, I always want to root for the younger guy. He's going against someone his height and his length, which is like a blessing for him. Because, we seen him lose, but it's to Charles Jourdain, who's not even all that good, but his length was kind of giving Joshua Van problems, Bruno Silva is coming off that loss against Manil Kape. Well, Manil Kape looks superhuman. I rewatched that fight, and I was like, Bruno Silva looked pretty solid in that fight. Manil Kape just looked on a different level. Joshua Van is a slow starter in the sense that he gets tagged up a little bit because he's not the best defensively sound in the first round, but when he gets your reads, he does really well. The problem with Bruno Silva is he's not going to just be standing up with Joshua Van, and I know Joshua Van has great takedown defense, but I just think that Bruno Silva mixing it up is going to make it a little bit frustrating to find the timing of Bruno Silva, because Bruno Silva is not going to just make it a traditional kickboxing match. Bruno Silva is actually pretty quick in his hands as well as his counterpunching ability, and the fact that he's such a big underdog is disgusting to me. He should not be plus 410. Joshua Van isn't going to smoke this guy. It shouldn't be plus 410. I like Van too, but I feel like it might be an experience thing as well, because Bruno Silva is a little bit more, he's been in the game a little bit longer and has those fights. And Joshua Van has a lot of wars. His fight style, unfortunately, even though he's young, chat, I know people say future champion and stuff. The unfortunate side of Joshua Van's fight style is he does take a lot of damage in a lot of his fights before he finds the finish ultimately, or before he puts the beats on him like Dr. Dre. The fight against the last Asian dude he had, I think it's Sura something. Sura's a primary wrestler. He just was kind of lost on the feet, but he was able to make it interesting just using some wrestling, even though Joshua Van was getting up. But the difference is Bruno Silva will use the wrestling, and when he's forced to stand, he's not going to look like Ray. He's not going to be like a bum on the feet. He's problematic on the feet, and his counter punching, specifically in his hands and his hooks, are really quick. I think he beats Joshua Van, and if he doesn't, it'll be a close fight that Joshua Van might sneak out, but the odds are disgusting. The odds are too significant for me to go Van, because I'm not confident enough in Van beating someone like Bruno Silva, who people are kind of dismissing just because of his last performance, where Manil Kape just looked on a different level. So I look at this fight and I'm like, dude, it's not roses and bubbles for Joshua Van. These odds should be illegal. I want to arrest the guy who made the odds for this fight. Can Joshua Van win? Absolutely. But the odds don't make sense to me. This might be a bad pick on my end. I'm not going to say underdog lock of the night or anything, but I am going to go Bruno Silva because I'm going to follow the money on this one. I will put Bruno Silva on a parlay or two, because I feel as if he's going to be a tough test for Joshua Van that people are kind of overlooking. The odds makers aren't really making sense of. Bruno Silva's scrappy. He's strong in the clinch, and he has some good wrestling, So I feel like Joshua Van's going to have to be ready to defend takedowns. He has an 80% takedown defense, Joshua Van, so he's not horrible, but he's got to be ready to defend takedowns and mix it up. It's not going to just be a boxing match. If it is, it's probably going to favor Van as the fight elongates, but Bruno Silva's going to catch him early as well. So it's going to be a tough fight, but I am going to go Bruno Silva, guys. I might surprise some people, but that is the direction I'm going. All right, now, real quick, chat. Let's go over to the canceled bouts of UFC 360. All right, guys, as far as like the swapped out bouts here, some of them are. It's not going to be KS Williams versus Yours Medic. It's going to be him versus Andres Gustafsson, who doesn't really have a... I don't even know if he made his pro debut in the UFC yet. I think he had one fight, maybe in the Dana White Contender Series. I don't know too much about him, but what I've seen from his fight style is that he's a pretty sound striker. From what I remember, I don't think he grapples a lot. And they paired him up with KS Williams, who's like a knockout artist as well, who hits really hard. He's very aggressive. He's coming off a loss in his last fight. It's going to be a scrap, but I'm going to lean KS Williams over just because his experience, to be fair. I don't really know much to take about Andreas Gustafsson because I haven't seen much from him. But I will say he's kind of like fresher. Like he's newer in short notice. I'm not going to lean the guy coming in on short notice against KS Williams, who's kind of scrappy and aggressive. A fight that wasn't even on the UFC website is Markel Medros. Okay, I said it right. Versus Mark Koniski. Mark Koniski is a very heavy BJJ practitioner. He's like a huge submission artist, and he's going against Markel, who has a really good takedown defense. Is pretty scrappy on the feet and has some good grappling himself. This is a pretty easy fight for me to pick. Yes, Koniski is undefeated with his primary BJJ background, but he hasn't even fought. Like, he's fighting in the fucking regional scenes, you know. Welcome to the UFC big dogs, you know. I'm going Markel. He's going to put the beats on him. Dr. Dre, hands on him. Lots of base. And then, of course, Asma is coming in, and not against Johnny Walker, but against Brenson Ribeiro, who's not a bad light heavyweight, but he's shown nothing promising to make me think he even has a chance against Asma, who's just a better striker out of the two and can mix in the clinching and the grappling. So I'm going Asma for a pretty comfortable and clear win. All right, those are for those fights. Now let's get back to these fights, the main ones that the UFC actually has on their websites. Next up, we got Vicente Luque versus Kelvin Holland. Now, this fight was interesting. Of course, Kelvin Holland's coming off a win finally against Gunnar Nelson. You know, about time. He's coming off a win. That was a hard win. I think it ended up going to decision, but Kelvin Holland really should have put him away. Then Vicente Luque is also coming off a win. A quick submission against Themba, which was actually a really solid choke. Vicente's BJJ is really great. Of course, Vicente's last loss was Buckley. Looking back at that fight, he fought Buckley pretty well. He had some good kicks. He's still a decent striker. And then before that, I'm pretty sure he beat RDA, who's like it's not on his prime anymore, but good win. While Kelvin Holland, you know, he's finally getting to the momentum streak. He fights so actively. He fights for paychecks. I don't really care what people say. He actually fights for paychecks. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what he fights for. He doesn't really fight to win all the time. I look at this fight. I'm pretty sure Holland's a big favorite, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, well, minus 225. I'm going underdog again. I think Vicente Luque is going to beat him, guys. I think Vicente Luque is a little bit more crisp and settled with his striking, whereas Kelvin Holland kind of sporadically fights depending on his opponent in front of him, and it's kind of like nothing. He doesn't really time stuff very well. You know, like he's not the most intelligent striker. And yes, his like BJJ is not bad, but he's not on the level of Vicente Luque. If this gets on the ground and gets ugly, Vicente Luque, I can see him controlling Kelvin Holland or even submitting Kelvin Holland rather than seeing Kelvin Holland submit him. They both know BJJ, but there's difference in it. Of course, Kelvin Holland has a length advantage, but the way he uses his length is kind of questionable. He kind of hops into stuff kind of goofy. And I feel like Vicente Luque, if he fights like a smart guy and just uses his kicks to his advantage, he'll probably beat Kelvin Holland. I just can never pick Kelvin Holland or put money on Kelvin Holland confidently, so I am going to go Vicente Luque in this fight. Like, are you bad, man, brother? This is my opinion, you know, brother. You know, Kelvin Holland's not bad. It's just like, I'm not following the favorite money there. It just doesn't make sense to me. This fight's interesting, guys. Batista versus Patchy Mix. Now, Patchy Mix, I just watched this fight with I just watched this fight with Magomedov. What a name. He didn't win that fight, guys. He didn't win. I watched it live, but I rewatched it today, and he definitely didn't win that fight. What was giving him problems about Magomedov, he was like mixing up his kicks to his boxing, to his clinch, to his wrestling entries really well. Just really well. And it was kind of making Patchy uncomfortable because Patchy was not really he didn't really know the game plan going in. He's like, he's gonna wrestle me, and then like Magomedov would just do a good job faking takedowns, going up top, and Magomedov won that fight. It was pretty obvious. I actually can't believe he won. Like, it was split decision that was given to Patchy. It was very shocking. That's the most recent fight I watched from Patchy, and I tried to just get information from that. I watched Mario Batista versus Jose Aldo again. And listen, bro, that fight got a bad rep. Batista just fought smart, and he wasn't just holding him against the fence. He was doing a really good job kneeing him in the legs and just making uncomfortable shoulder strikes. He was very active in the clinch. You know, I know people hate, oh, dude, but it was Aldo, dude. Just let him off the fence. Nah, Aldo should have got off the fence himself. After rewatching that fight, I was impressed with Batista. Watch back his fight with Ricky Simon. He did really good work there. Mario Batista is very active in his striking. He doesn't ever tire. He's not going to fatigue. This fight's actually really close. This is actually a very close fight. I don't know the odds. I'm pretty sure Patchy Mix will be a favorite. The odds aren't available right now on the UFC website, but I know it's going to be a close fight. It's going to be scrappy. it's really hard to pick, dude, because like the way Patchy looked in his last fight, the things that gave him problems, I could see Batista mixing up a similar approach where he's just kind of using his kicks, his boxing, his hand speed, and then using the clinch to initiate some things. But Patchy's strong. Like Patchy doesn't just stay in the clinch. He kind of does a good job reversing people. He was doing good against Magomedov in the clinch. He wasn't just being complacent like Aldo is. You know, but Mario Batista will make you wrestle a little bit. Like, Mario Batista will mix it up and make it uncomfortable. One thing about Patchy that he does really good is his low kicks, though, and his jabs. Mario Batista sometimes has bad reactions to jabs. You can see in the Ricky Simon fight and the Jose Aldo fight. If you're jabbing at Batista, he just does a bad job evading it. You know, and then the low kicks from Patchy Mix, they're going to be trading low kicks all night. But Patchy Mix low kicks a little bit more quick and efficient. Almost reminds me of, like, Prime Adesanya, no glaze. His low kicks and it's the way he low kicks and moves. And Patchy Mix is always kind of being the hammer. He always wants to be on the front foot. He does in a lot of his fights, and if you give him too much respect, he'll pound you out while you're moving backwards. He'll beat the shit out of you. Beats on him, Dr. Dre. You know, and Batista is a mix of both. I've seen him come on the front foot a lot, like an Aldo fight. I've seen him like interchange it with Ricky Simon. You know, it just depends. You don't really know what you're gonna get from Batista, but Batista does his best work, in my opinion, coming forward, because then he can use that to initiate some clinch exchanges. Really close fight, very competitive fight. Dude, it's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. Like, I feel like my gut is telling me Patchy Mix might get it done, but my brain's telling me stylistically Batista's going to be too much. He's going to be too much for Apache. It's going to be close, but even if it's a close fight, they're going to give it Apache, aren't they? So I might just look at it like that, dude. That sounds bad, but like, it's such a hard fight to predict. I do think Batista has more weapons that he could use at his disposal, but I do think Patchy Mix is a really good fighter. And I also think Magomedov beats both of them. You know? I think Magomedov beats both of them. Hard fight, man. Hard fight. Really hard fight, you know. And Patchy Mix is still 31, so he's still in a prime age. He's not like an old guy coming over like a fucking, you know, all these other dudes in the UFC. He's a young guy and he's fresh. It's a hard fight, chat. This is probably the hardest fight to predict on the card. It really is, dude. Because Batista is game, and I haven't seen Batista lose in a long time. Same with Patchy Mix. Oh, I was saying Patchy lost his last fight. But it's hard, man. I got to pick someone, don't I? Fuck. I didn't really, like, go into this video. I was like, I'm going to be on the fly. I'm going to know who I'm going to pick. But I don't. I really don't. Like, my guts really telling me Patchy for some reason. But stylistically, Patchy's like, he's not going to deal with the Batista well. I'm going Patchy Mix, though. I'm going Patchy Mix. I have to, bro. Because I want to follow my gut, even though my brain's telling me Batista's going to win. Because Batista's just really good. Batista's really good, you know. He's really good. He mixes up stuff very well, you know. But Patchy Mix is... No, I can't do that. I'm going Mario Batista. I can't, because, like, I got to be honest. I guess I'm going to follow my intellect, like my IQ. My IQ tells me that Batista's going to be a little bit too much. And he's going to bring the fight to him. But there's a world where, like, Patchy just low kicks him and tries to, like, you know, use his output and his pressure to his advantage. You know? Wait, though. I don't know, man. Actually, I'm going Patchy. Did I just switch my picks back to back? I'm going Patchy Mix, man. Chat, I'm sorry about this. Someone's I'm fencing and maxing crazy here, but I'm going Patchy Mix, dude. Because Patchy Mix BJJ is pretty solid as well. You know, so I got to give him credit there. I'm going Patchy Mix. I'm not going to stay on this, or I'm going to keep thinking about it. Moving on. Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer. Look at the fucking... This guy's a strong refrigerator, you know. You know, sometimes when I'm opening my fridge to get some food, I'm like, dude, why is Kelvin Gastelum so big? That's what I think of, like, when I'm... All right, that's besides the point. Versus Joe Pyfer, 6'2" to 5'9" height difference. Gastelum hasn't seen this since Adesanya, 6'4", 5'9" height difference. It's going to be a long time trying to land flush on Joe Pyfer. Problem with Joe Pyfer is he better not fatigue, because he's not knocking out Gastelum's fucking refrigerator, like, huge ass head. He could land something meaningful, but I could see this going the distance and being a hard fight for Pyfer if he can't get him out of there early. But that being said, Gastelum kind of riding no momentum, is he? Like, he's not really showing himself. Like, he doesn't look like himself anymore. So even though he's going to be scrappy, I do think Pyfer's going to have the little bit more of like a... He's going to have like the little bit more of like the X factor with the power. Minus 395 is kind of stupid, but you know, I actually might go Pyfer by KO or points. I think Pyfer by points will be a steal, because people might expect Pyfer to just destroy and obliterate Gastelum, and it might get taken over to points because Gastelum has a really good chin. But I'm going to go Pyfer by KO points officially. Good fight, though. All right, the main event of the evening. Dale, brother, dale. Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harrison. This is a good fight just because of promotion. Juliana Pena is a dog, guys. She is a dog. She's going to go in there and throw the kitchen sink. Like Kayla Harrison said, she's going to throw the kitchen sink at her. because she doesn't really have a direct game plan. Juliana Pena, chat, you can't devise a game plan for Juliana Pena to beat Kayla Harrison. Because you can't, like, Juliana Pena is great BJJ. And a lot of her fights, like, the X factor could be if she could find a submission or get you in a bad spot. Like, but grappling with Kayla Harrison is just not your best bet. And then you can't just say, oh, she's going to strike with her. No offense to Juliana Pena. Like, her striking, like, the little, like, let me come forward and just fucking, is not the most intelligent striking. Whereas I look at Kayla Harrison, her striking is not the best either, but I think it's a little bit more seasoned and green. Like, it might be a little bit more green, but it's a little bit more seasoned. And Kayla Harrison can just strike to get you into judo positions. And Kayla Harrison will be okay, you know, in a dominant position against Juliana Pena and controlling her there. And I can see her controlling her there. She's going to be bigger and stronger than Juliana Pena. Like, she's going to cut the weight. It's going to be a horrible weight cut, but she'll rehydrate and get pretty big and pretty strong. You know, it's going to be interesting. Like, she's 5'9". Juliana Pena's like 5'6". Slight height advantage too. You know, even though Pena has longer arms, I feel like Kayla Harrison can use some kicks just to, like, keep her at bay at times if she needs some space. But I feel like Juliana Pena, people might expect her to bring a dogfight and drown Kayla Harrison. I just can't see that happening. I think Harrison's better everywhere. I think Harrison's actually a lot better than Juliana Pena. And Juliana Pena's last performance against Pennington actually wasn't impressive in the slightest. I picked Juliana Pena to, like, almost dominate Raquel because Raquel just doesn't show anything impressive to me. But the way Pena won, it was like she just didn't look the same. Like, even her dog in her just wasn't really there as much. She was actually fatiguing against Raquel, which I thought the vice versa was going to happen. So I don't see Pena beating Harrison. I just can't see it. I don't know the odds. See, minus 620. Dude, I hate these. Odds are getting worse nowadays, dude. Minus 625 is a little bit, like, too much in my opinion. But I do got Harrison winning. And I probably see her winning by finish. She might finish her by sub or something. I don't know. Sub or KO, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be a good fight if Pena can bring it to the later rounds, but Pena just doesn't have that dog in anymore. She's too old to be doing all these dog fights. I'll be real. So I am going Kayla Harrison. Jokes aside, main event of the evening for real this time. We got Shawn OMalley versus Merab Dvalishvili. This predictions is interesting. What are the odds, by the way? I'm curious. Okay, mine's 325 now. How the world changes. Yeah, I'll be real, guys. Like, I see the videos, and I see the videos, like, everyone picking Sugar sometimes, and, like, I get why they're doing it, because if they do it, they're going to be really cool, and I made this great pick. But logically, it's really just not smart, is it, to pick Shawn OMalley to win? I know people are going to be like, oh, but Kenny, he took a layoff, had hip surgery, and now he's going to come back the best version of himself ever. You know, Sugar didn't step back in the ring. So this is going to be their excuse, the people who pick Sugar. Well, he should have had one fight before going right back to Merab to make sure his hip's really good. After Merab beats him, that's what I feel like people would say. Like, stylistically, like I said the first time, Merab's style is gonna be too much for Shawn OMalley, like, specifically, like, too much. And, like, what people don't realize about Merab getting rocked, typically he gets rocked, like, very in close in, like, wild exchanges. Typically when Sugar lands some flush shots, it's typically, like, from distance a little bit, at Sugar's distance at least. And I want to bring up the first fight just to address this point, chat. Merab fought Sugar with probably the worst game plan ever and was still able to win. That why the game plan was so bad, you're wondering, is because Merab opened up and he was immediately circling the cage a lot, which was frustrating to deal with Sugar, and probably, like, caught Sugar off guard because Sugar wasn't ready for that, which was probably, like, why Sugar looked bad. Sugar didn't look bad. He just looked like Sugar, to be honest, but Merab was circling the cage, not really using the pressure at all to fatigue Shawn, which is why in the 5th round, Sugar was actually able to, like, hit him with, like, a teep or something to the body and make Merab retreat. Well, Sugar was kind of too tired to, like, engage in him when he was retreating, but still, you guys get my point. Like, Merab's best work is when he's coming forward and making you guys fatigue and tiring you guys out and outworking you guys. That's when he does the best work. Now, against the first fight, he wasn't fatiguing Shawn at all because all he was doing was circling, but he was so much better than Shawn that he was able to circle, and then just jump into a stupid, horribly telegraphed takedown attempt off the cage and still be able to take him down damn near off the back foot, which just shows Sugar's lack of strength in contrast to Merab Dvalishvili. Now, if Merab comes in here with the Merab game plan, would it put him in danger early on initially? Yes, but Merab has shown that he has a seasoned chin, and Sugar doesn't really have one-punch power. He's the only person he's one-punched was Eddie Wineland. Never one-punched anyone else. Like, he had that good drop against Aljo. But still, that wasn't a one punch. That was a follow-up shot, you know. I just don't see Shawn OMalley catching him. It's possible. Anything's possible, of course. Like, of course, if Merab comes with that same game plan, he'll win again, but it'll just be stupid. Like, just stupid game plans. Bad game plans can win you a fight. For example, if he goes out there like Bilal and just, like, tries to back up and just tries to land strikes, and then tries to wrestle half-assedly, he will lose to Sugar. But I don't think he's going to have a bad game plan. I think Merab's going to come in with a better game plan than the first fight and make it an even more one-sided victory. I could see him getting controlled and just emoted on again, unfortunately, and Merab saying, I might go for finish this time. Brother, no, you're not. You have to be man first. Merab's not going to go for finish, but Merab's going to put the beats on him like Dr. Dre. Just no logical reasoning to ever go Sugar Shawn in this fight. It just doesn't make any logical sense. Like, people could try to gaslight you, like, but trust me, the surgery is the reason he's going to win now. It's just, the hips weren't the reason he lost the fight. It was because he couldn't deal with the wrestling of Merab. You know, his hip wasn't a problem in the fight before, but it's going to be a problem against Merab. But yeah, Merab's going to put him in, control him in the clinch, take him down at will, and beat him up. And even if he can't take him down, he does a really good job like faking takedowns and going with overhands like he was doing against Umar and landing flush. Like, Merab's actually evolving unironically. What he showed in the Umar fight was actually very impressive sometimes, when Umar was so insistent that Merab was going to shoot on him, and then all of a sudden his overhand hits Merab, hits Umar flush in the chin. That's actually what rocked Umar in the 5th round. He thought a takedown was coming, so his chin was kind of like down a little bit already. Lands flush on him and rocks him. Sugar's going to get outstruck and out-wrestle this whole fight. Easy win for Merab Dvalishvili. Now for the prediction, for the parlays. These are for my parlays. If I'm going to put a parlay on someone, it's going to be this, chat. The thing about parlays like this, I know the odds are like wild for like this fight's probably wild, this fight. So I don't want to do like horrible odds. Fuck. Okay, I'm going Bruno Silva on a parlay. Give me Bruno Silva parlay. Give me Vicente Luque. Give me Joe Pyfer, Kayla Harrison, and Merab. That's a big boy parlay. For the guaranteed safe parlay, I'd probably go Merab, Kayla, and I guess you could say Asma. He's going to be a huge favorite, though. Asma by KO points, and then Wong Kong by KO points. Those would be my safe parlay. You know, if you're feeling risky-disky, I call this the risky-disky real bad man parlay. Hey, if you don't risk it, there ain't no biscuit. Go Bruno Silva and Vicente Luque, double underdog parlay, and throw like a 50 on it. That's like the super-duper underdog pick. It's plus 410, dads. I'm telling you, the plus 410 odds are disgusting. But these are my full card predictions. Let me know what you guys think down below. Trust me, we're going to go 100% this card. If you don't, brother, then I lied to you guys, but I'll never lie to you guys. But that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and God bless. 2.